Hey everyone, and welcome back for another early slate video. There's going to be a lot of early slates in April. Teams wanting to play baseball when the sun is up, try to get as much heat as they can because they don't really want to be playing when it's only 35 degrees out and it's dark. So every time there is an early slate of at least 3 games, I'm going to try to get a video out for you guys just with the amount of support that we have been getting. First off, thank you. We really do appreciate it here. But yeah, I'm going to try to get a video out for you. Mega Roar is going to be covering the main slates. So please give him some support too. Give him some love. It does take some time putting these videos together with all the research that goes into it. But before we get into this slate, just a little bit of who we are. I am McKinley412. I'm one of the MLB coaches here at FSi. We're a DFS site that helps provide cores, helps provide you with information to just kind of build the best DFS lines that you can across all sports. We cover pretty much everything here at FSi. So this is an example of the MLB sheet. We give you a cash core, a GPP core for both DraftKings and FanDuel. We cover all the showdowns. We cover all the tiers. We tell you some of our favorite pitchers and all the different salary ranges, pitchers that we want to fade completely, and then some stacks, the top stacks of the slate, favorite GPP plays, cheap plays, and some leverage spots to go along with it. So hopefully you all had a fantastic Monday in DFS. I know Cleveland really treated me well. Hopefully you guys took something out of that Monday video and played quite a bit of Cleveland as well. Because if so, I think you're right there along with me. So I'm happy. Let's hopefully continue this rolling into Tuesday. So right up at the top, Shane Bieber. We finally got an ace back on the mound. Nothing like Monday. But Shane Bieber, he already had a start. He went 4.2 innings, 3 hits against, and 1 earned run. So pretty decent start. The strikeouts weren't there. The strikeouts were what were typical numbers of that we see from Bieber. But you got to remember, Bieber's spring training was dreadful. So the fact that he went out there and just kind of like flipped the switch in regular season mode and put this out, it was impressive. Albeit it was against Kansas City, so we got to kind of temper expectations. But Bieber has shown in the past what he can do. He is going to strike guys out like crazy. And now he's got Cincinnati. Cincinnati, they sold off a lot of their bigger name guys. They lost Castellanos, they lost Winker, they lost Eugenio Suarez. So Cincinnati, they're definitely a weaker offense. They are playing in Great American Ballpark, though. There's definitely an uptick in runs in that ballpark. However, this game does have the lowest over-under on the slate, and you'll kind of see why as we go through all of the pitchers. Because on the other side of this game is kind of the other ace that is on this short slate in Tyler Mahle. Mahle was incredible in his first start, almost near identical numbers. He went 5 innings pitched, but the same 3 hits against. He did not technically allow an earned run. There was an error on the play by his defense, but he got 7 Ks. But instead of going against a Kansas City type offense, he went up against the reigning World Series champs in Atlanta. So big props to Mahle. He kind of continued on from spring training into the regular season. His spring was fantastic, much better than Bieber's was. So this is more consistent play for Mahle. He went 84 pitches in that first start. So, I mean, he's pretty much almost built up to like, he's ready to go 90, 95 pitches if needed. So now he's going up against Cleveland. On the other side, Cleveland, they scored 17 runs against Kansas City on Sunday. They then scored 10 runs against them on Monday. So the offense is, maybe something that we do have to be paying attention to. Kansas City's pitching staff is not really great. I don't think anybody is there that is up to Mahle's quality, but it's still something to be paying attention to. However, when you look at the rest of the pitchers on this slate, again, you're kind of almost handcuffed on these like super small early slates. I'm kind of almost handcuffed to be playing Bieber and playing Mahle. Because we'll go through the rest of the guys. There is one guy that I do want to say I do have some interest in, though, and we'll get there. But that guy is not Jose Quintana. Quintana, he's not the guy that we remember from years past. Back in like the mid 2010s. He's kind of like fallen off. He's getting older. I think he's like 32, 33, 34, somewhere in that range now. So he is getting older. And last season just was not there. His strikeout rate went way up. But I don't know. I think it's kind of a fluke. His spring training was dreadful. I got the numbers here. He went 9 innings in spring training across 3 starts. He allowed 15 hits, 11 earned runs, 4 home runs, and opponents hit 395 off of him. Right-handed batters specifically hit 480 off of him. So, I mean, very limited data sample, but we're going to be talking about his splits later on in the video when we talk about the bats. So I do want to get back to this guy and just foreshadowing right there. Velasquez for the White Sox. This is the Velasquez that was on Philadelphia that you're thinking about. Super high K upside with this guy. However, if he is not striking guys out, there's some issues. There's some trouble there. His spring training was exactly that. Kind of followed right along with his career path. So in spring training, he went 9 innings, 11 hits against, 7 earned runs, 3 home runs. So he really struggled in spring training. However, he also had 10 strikeouts. So high K upside. But if he's not striking guys out, he might be having a little bit tougher of a time. Now, he is going up against Seattle. Seattle does have some guys that do strike out quite a bit in their lineup, but they also have a lot of guys that do not strike out at all in their lineup. And once again, a little foreshadowing there. We'll be talking about the splits and kind of talking about his strikeout rate and what's going to be later on in the video. Matt Brash. This is the guy I was talking about earlier. This is the other guy that I'm like, scratching my head, thinking about playing just because of his strikeout upside. He's never pitched in a regular season MLB game. He's never even pitched in the AAA. AA is the highest that he has pitched. But when he was in the AA, he was lights out. He had an ERA close to 2 for back-to-back seasons. And in those 2 seasons, he had a strikeout rate of 34% and 36%. That is elite. That is Jacob deGrom level. Elite, fantastic numbers there. In spring training, he kind of kept it up. It wasn't like that jump in league really messed him up at all. He went 9 innings in spring training. He only allowed 3 hits, 1 earned run, and got 12 strikeouts. So he definitely has that K upside for sure. And at 6.7 K, I definitely have a little bit of interest in him, especially in GPPs. And I think you should have a little interest in him as well. One thing going against him, though, is he is facing the White Sox. The White Sox currently, at the moment, for 2022, are the lowest strikeout team in the majors against right-handed pitching. They only strike out a 12% rate. That is not sustainable. It's not going to happen. They're not going to be 12% all season long, but it is still something to be paying attention to. And then to round it off, Drew Smyly. Smyly, awful season or awful spring training. My apologies. He went 7 innings, 12 hits against, 5 earned runs, 8 strikeouts. He's a low strikeout pitcher, all things considered, kind of always has been. Low strikeout pitcher. One big issue that he does have is allowing home runs. And that's kind of been his mantra, is just he allows a lot of home runs, more so than usual. But he's going up against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh only has 1 home run so far on the season. Sorry, I got like the hiccups or something. But Pittsburgh has only allowed 1 home run. Pittsburgh has only hit 1 home run on the season. It was that grand slam against Mikolas when we all had him. So that was kind of a disappointment that came at that exact time. But still, maybe Smyly, but probably not. So let's kind of go through the bats here. I don't remember if we went backwards or forwards last time. We'll go backwards again. We'll start off with Chicago. Chicago going up against Jose Quintana. I kind of mentioned how Quintana has really struggled. And yes, let's dive into the splits a little bit more. So he allowed a 395 batting average in spring. He allowed a 480 batting average to right-handed batters. Okay. Now, you might think that's unsustainable, and it definitely is. However, if you look back at last season, right-handed bats against him hit 344 across the entire season. Like, that is a pretty solid sample size. Right-handed hitters mash Quintana here. He does hold lefties to 152. However, Chicago is not an all-lefty lineup, so crossing them off. So the guys I do want to be paying attention to in this Chicago lineup, it's going to be Seiya Suzuki for sure. This is a guy who came over from Japan. He was the big splash in the offseason. Big bomber. He's going to be hitting home runs all season long. Suzuki for sure. Madrigal, he hit 373 against left-handed pitching last season. It was in 63 at bats, but still a 373 batting average against left-handed pitching over, a shortened season. I definitely am going to have interest in him, especially at only 4.4K. Rough start to the season, but I still think he can do pretty well. The other Cubs bat that really smashed left-handed pitching last season was Schwindel. He hit 324 last season against left-handed pitching. Some other guys, just some value plays on Chicago that you could be looking at. Clint Frazier at just 2.1K. And I would be looking at a guy like Ian Happ at just 3.4. Happ has had a tremendous start to the season. We know from years past, when he gets hot, he gets really hot. So if he is in one of these trajectories, I'm definitely going to want to keep playing him. He is day-to-day. Make sure he's in the lineup. He took a ball off the kneecap, but latest reports were he is expected to play on Tuesday. And if he does, I'll definitely have some interest in him at 3.4K. On the other side of that game, Pittsburgh, I know it's against Drew Smyly, but it's just tough to get much interest in Pittsburgh. Maybe Reynolds is the guy that I would be paying attention to. Let's see, where's he at? 4.4K. He'd probably be the only Pittsburgh guy that I'm like okay with playing. But I mean, if there ever was a time to play Pittsburgh, this is the time. A short 3-game slate against Drew Smyly. I mean, if you're going to play Pittsburgh, this is definitely the time. But I don't know. It's pretty ugly. Going to the next game, Cleveland, Cincinnati. I mentioned this has the lowest over-under on the slate, even though it is in that Great American Ballpark or Great American Small Park, whatever you want to call it. But still, it's two elite pitchers. Cleveland on this side, there's just not too much to like. I mean, Jose Ramirez, 5.8K, that's just a little bit too high for a game with these two star pitchers in it. Rosario, he's had a great start to the season. Miles Straw, I mentioned it. If he gets on base, he's going to try to steal a base for sure. Steven Kwan, still 2.3K, which is crazy. He just does not strike out. Cleveland Kid in our Discord, he mentioned that he posted a stat that Steven Kwan has not struck out since September. It was like the first week of September of 2021. And that includes all of spring training. He just does not strike out. So 2.3K, he is certainly in play. Owen Miller did very well for us at single digit ownership on Monday, 2.2K. So Cleveland, they got bats for sure, but going up against Molly, that is a tough task. On the other side, Cincinnati, I think this might be my favorite leverage spot on the slate. Just because Shane Bieber, he's going to be popular. We know what he's all about, that high K upside. But I mean, a lot of the high strikeout guys on, well, I guess the one big strikeout guy, Eugenio Suarez for Cincinnati, he's not in Cincinnati anymore. He's gone. So maybe they won't strike out as much this season. But still, I still think this is my favorite leverage play just because we saw how bad Bieber was during the spring. And yeah, he went through and he did pretty well. I mean, he did well against Kansas City, but that offense is pretty near nothing. So I think in a small ballpark like Cincinnati on a low over-under, maybe Bieber goes back to his spring training form and is just kind of really struggling getting out of the gates here, and that Cincinnati can take some advantage off that. So Joey Votto is definitely one of the guys I would have interest in, a lefty there. Tyler Naquin, he actually hit right-handed pitching pretty well, pretty solid numbers on him at just 3.9K. And another guy who actually has really solid numbers going up against right-handed pitching is Tyler Stevenson. At just 3.2K, he could be a very nice value play at catcher for you. He hit near 300 against right-handed pitching last season. Will it translate into this season? We'll see. But he has had a pretty solid start here to start things off. So Cincinnati might be my favorite leverage play on the slate. Going into this final game, Seattle versus Chicago White Sox. We'll start with Seattle. No, we'll start with Chicago. Really the only interest that I have in here is, or the biggest interest is probably Tim Anderson. Like I mentioned, Brash, this is going to be his MLB debut, but he's got some serious strikeout potential. But Anderson, he has like the second lowest strikeout rate on the Chicago White Sox among starters. And last season, he hit 306 against right-handed pitching. So he can do damage. And I mean, he's just a fun player to roster in DFS. He came off that suspension, and then he just smacked first pitch for a double, ended up with 17 BK points in that game. So he's just a great player from a DFS standpoint. He can steal bases. He can make contact. He can hit for average. And like I said, he doesn't strike out too often. So going up against a heavy strikeout pitcher, it's definitely something to take note of. Let me take some guys out. I don't want to give you guys a full lineup here and everything. But yeah, so Tim Anderson, he's probably the guy I'm most interested in. And like I said, Chicago White Sox, they are only striking out at a 12% rate so far this season against right-handed pitching. Super small sample size. It's not sustainable. It's not going to be 12% all season long. But they are an all-righty lineup. So it is kind of difficult for those right-handed pitchers to strike them out for some reason. So who knows? I don't know. I tripped up by my words there in case you didn't notice. But let's go to Seattle. Final team. Nobody's perfect. So Seattle. Speaking of guys that do not strike out, one guy I want to pay attention to here is Adam Frazier at second base. Frazier, if he is starting, last season he had an 8.1% strikeout rate against right-handed pitching, which is just unreal. It was actually the second best in the entire majors against right-handed pitching. Velasquez, as I mentioned, he relies on striking guys out. If he does not get those strikeouts, it's going to be a long day for him. So Frazier, he has the second lowest strikeout rate, and he hit 317 against righties. So strong interest in Frazier. Winker, he is also in there. He's 5.5K. But Winker, he only struck out at a 12% rate. He was the 15th best in the league at night striking out against right-handed pitching, and he hit 346 against right-handers. So definitely have interest in Winker. Ty France, he was only at a 16% clip, and he hit almost 300. So Seattle, I think, might be my favorite GPP play. I might be paying attention to some of their guys in cash for sure. And then the main guy I do have to talk about, maybe not main, but the guy I do have to talk about is, where is he? I gotta type him in. There he is. Rodriguez, Min Price. This is one of the top prospects in the AL. It's kind of like Bobby Witt and maybe him as like a second or third place for AL Rookie of the Year. One of the top prospects in the entire league. He can get on base. He can steal bases for sure. I think he just stole a base on Monday night here, Monday afternoon, whenever Seattle played. But Min Price, for a top prospect like this, he's too cheap. So he's not going to do any damage to your lineup if he does go over 4. He's not going to absolutely burn you at that mid price. So I think Seattle might be my favorite kind of like GPP spot, possibly. Cincinnati is definitely another team that I would kind of be paying attention to, just because Bieber's probably going to see a whole lot of ownership. Molly's probably going to see a whole lot of ownership as well. And then if you just want to get super crazy, just throw in a Pittsburgh stack, because nobody's going to have a Pittsburgh stack all season long. But if there was ever a time, it's now. So let's just kind of see if we throw in Molly and we throw in Bieber. 4.2K. You got some cheap guys with Stevenson and Rodriguez. I mean, even just putting those two guys in there, you can pretty much build anything that you want on this slate. I mean, 4.3 remaining. Yeah, you can pretty much build however you want just with those guys. I don't think you have to be paying down at pitcher too much. Is 9.9 a little higher than I want for a guy like Bieber? Yeah, especially in that ballpark. But still, I think he'll be fine. Just because I do not want anything of Quintana. I don't want anything of Velasquez or Smiley outside of like a super deep GPP. And then Matt Brash, he's got that K upside. MLB debut, he's going to be hyped. Maybe he goes out and, sets our MLB record. Who knows? Probably not. But that kind of wraps things up for the slate. It's just a 3-game slate. But yeah, not much else to say. So as always, good luck in your contest. Thanks for watching once again, and we will see you in the next video.